So, Until Dawn was a horror game developed by Supermassive Games and it was published by Bandai Namco. And Until Dawn, since I played it about 2.5 years ago, still remains one of my all time favorite horror games. The story is standard, it's a high schooler tropey getaway kind of horror story, but the choices that you make in that game ultimately impact and affect every single aspect and outcome of the game's story. And you can have all of your characters die, none of your characters die, or anything in between. And they had some impressive actors performing very impressively in the game too. Uh, and now the pseudo sequel, Man of Medan, which starts Supermassive Games' Dark Pictures Anthology. So, Man of Medan picks up with the storytelling elements that Until Dawn had, and that's about the best part of Man of Medan, if anything, the only good part. I mean, this isn't a bad or terrible game, but compared to Until Dawn, it's very mediocre. The aesthetics and setting of Man of Medan are pretty creepy. The atmosphere is very well done. The story itself, I would say it's a notch above Until Dawn, and the storytelling is essentially just directly taken from Until Dawn's storytelling with the inclusion of like a more narratively streamed structure, and even that makes it actually feel a little creepier. My biggest problems and gripes with Man of Medan, especially comparing it to Until Dawn, are the plot devices. The biggest problem of Man of Medan are the jump scares. Until Dawn had that, but it wasn't like the meat of the storyline. Okay, Man of Medan, it's literally the meat of all of it. And combine jump scares with ultimate predictability, and Man of Medan is like far, far inferior to Until Dawn. So the intro of Man of Medan, set how many years in the past on a ship, a ghost ship, if you will. It was a military ship, and it had soldiers on there, and you played as two soldiers, two partners, and they got on the ship. And later that night, basically, spooky things start happening, and this was already the part where I knew how the game was going to play, because I'll give you a prime example, minor spoiler. So in the intro there's a part where things already happened, and one of your two characters is walking around with a machine gun. They found an assault rifle. I believe it was an AK. I could be wrong, but anyway, he's in a room, a dark big room with all the tanks and everything, and he sees a locker. He sees something crawling there, or he hears it. I can't fully remember, but anyway, he's looking at a locker, and he's going towards it. He's creepily going towards it, and it gives you the option to not shoot or shoot the locker. So me knowing a lot about horror cliche, I thought, okay, I won't shoot it. Instead, I'll turn around and run away. This dude doesn't shoot it, and he opens it still. And there's a freaking ghoul or whatever you want to call them in the locker that just slashes his stomach open. And it's like, well, that was not structured like Until Dawn, because Until Dawn, if that were in Until Dawn, the teenagers, which are usually the stupid characters in games and stories and movies, but in Until Dawn, the teenagers would at least have a half sense to not shoot, and if they don't shoot, be like, I'm getting out of here. But instead, in Man of Medan, a hardened soldier at that doesn't shoot, and then he still proceeds to open the locker, and that happened, and he died, and I was just like, okay, well, I know where this game's going. And ultimately, it's very choice based still, don't get me wrong. The storytelling of it is very well done still. Like I said, the storytelling is essentially just like Until Dawn, with the inclusion of a narrator telling more of the story. But the plot devices and the jump scares, they don't work. Even individually, they never work in horror, and they definitely will never work well together. Okay? The aesthetics and the setting and the story, for the most part, the Until Dawn storytelling structure, they get those four things right. And some of them are done very well, too. But ultimately, this game, Man of Medan, is dragged down and bogged down by so many stupid plot choices. Even parts where it would give you one form of dialogue, another form of dialogue, or say nothing. And literally, the two forms of dialogue were so inept and stupid that I just had to go with say nothing. Just because I couldn't see myself saying something stupid right before I die with, I didn't even get to see my ex, or something stupid like that. Like, sometimes the choices are meaningless, they're pointless. It's better to just say nothing. Anyway, for me, Man of Medan is a solid 6 out of 10. It's above average because of the story, the structure, the aesthetics, but ultimately it's nowhere near a great game like Until Dawn. Until Dawn, like I said, Until Dawn, I would give that a 9, not a 10, because the story was a bit cliche, but it wasn't predictable in my opinion. Man of Medan, everything about the story, albeit very well done, everything about the story was so predictable and cliche because the whole game was based on jump scares and stupid plot choices. So anyway, Man of Medan, 6 out of 10. Can't wait for the sequel, or pseudo sequel, in the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope. Thank you.